Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of our following with what is going on with the current protest and how the whole event has turned out. Once again, we are reporting live from the Situation Room of the Stand Up, Speak Out initiative. I'm here again with Dr. Doyle, Edeni, the founder. He has been with us throughout this protest. He has shown his commitment towards the youth and his support, and we really appreciate it. So you have heard the speech. What is your reaction towards what has been said by our president?
Okay, it was very, very gratifying to see that the president finally spoke up, because for a long time people expected that even before the protest started, that the president was going to address the nation in trying to calm down nerves. But I guess because even the administration did not know where all this emanated from, there were various theories and speculations as to who might be behind it. And I figured perhaps they didn't know how to react or what to say and what their motivations were. And there are so many other things that could be going on behind the scenes that you and I are not privy to. Right. And so they needed to take a step back to see how the thing unfolded. And as you could see, one thing I'll give to them is that they were correct in predicting that it's most likely to turn violent. And every one of us knew that that was a strong possibility, in the sense that when someone is hungry and angry, it can lead to so many other things. Sure. The unintended consequence of lack and deprivation in society. But I think it was a speech that was needed. And in my opinion, in my notes that I've taken here, and I wrote down a few things that the president hits on point, and a few other things that I think that was left out. We were not expecting him to give us a speech that will fix the problem overnight, but like I said, something that will calm down the nerves of the nation. Whether or not he was able to achieve that needs to be seen. I've seen a lot of online chatter following his speech earlier this morning, and I had time to go back to that speech again to take a look at it to see, is that what, if I was a youth protesting today, and is that what I want to hear? If I do not have an opportunity for a job, if I have come out of school, I've been just frustrated because of lack of planning, is that what I wanted to hear? I think there are so many people, as you could see, the majority of the online chatter is pointing to the fact that they are disappointed. And I think it's because immediately people cannot have food on their table by what the president has said. There's a glimmer of hope, especially at the point where the president some of his men had gone ahead in some of their earlier responses to say that, for example, corps members that have finished their service, that they are going to start a social security sort of disbursement to them now for like an unemployment benefit, pending when they are able to find their feet. These are the sort of interventions that the government can do, verifiable interventions that you can publish and show people that you truly care. Because you can't graduate people to see what people go through school and be able to come out, their parents go into debt and things like that. And then they come out, they can't even find a job. They don't have resources to even go and look for a job. To think that the president and his team are now considering giving them monthly check and stipends for them to be able to survive, it shows that is a caring government. Beyond that as well, ahead of this, sometime earlier, they have launched the students' loan scheme that if you are a gifted child, or you are somebody who really desire tertiary education, that you have an opportunity to pursue your dreams instead of falling off along the wayside. And we in SUSO, we know that in terms of trying to provide quality education, since we run a lot of these scholarship schemes, especially for indigent students. That is very welcome. We're a not-for-profit entity. I beg your pardon. So for every single person we're able to help through that scheme, for example, a lot more, hundreds or perhaps thousands more may have fallen by the wayside. So the speech is very welcome. The Mr. President has he was able to kill it in that area where he spoke to what will calm down nerves. But then students, coppers are just a small fraction of the general population. So the major people that are hit are those people who are the parents who have the burden of trying to put food on the table of their wards and things like that. I saw a video online today where somebody was saying that he was running, one of the protesters that was interviewed was saying that his schools, that children come to school without food and they are hungry. And some of them will say they have not eaten and they don't bring their food back again to school. I was looking forward to hearing from the government, and then if they get a chance to hear us, it's necessary that they start introducing this food program. There was a time that the past government, when we say past, this is an APC government actually, it's the same government but another regime, I guess. They claimed that they were feeding school children, and that was a fraud. Generally, people saw it as a fraud because they didn't see the food. So if that scheme was there that was being abused, they now need to find a way to make sure that actually runs, especially in all public schools. That at least instead of giving all these food items to all these people, they give it to those those charged with the responsibility of trying to make sure that food gets to the children. At least a child will come to school and have a square meal. So even if they don't eat at home, they get food to eat at school, right, and be able to listen and concentrate on their study. Children will look forward to going to school because if there's no food at home, they will come to school. That's right. That's a way of trying to encourage, keep them in school and at least solve some part of the hunger problems that we're talking about today. So the president and his team should be looking into those areas, work with the state governors. Instead of, the president spoke about how many more billions that they're shipping up to the states. It's incredible, releasing about 57 billion, if I get that figure correctly, total or something. I don't know whether it's monthly or whatever. Part of the cash on this money should be to target it towards specific use. I know that the federal government does not have the capacity to dictate to the states, but this can be negotiated in terms of reducing the tension, because at the end of the day, the people live in the states. The federal government can only deal with some issues, but it comes down to the states and the local government, which is what we discussed before. And so the government at the federal level has to be aggressive in seeing to the implementation of some of these programs, because if it is not seen to get to the common person who does not know any person in government, we're still going to have this sort of deprivation and lack, whereby some state officials that are corrupt are going to seize on the opportunity and use these resources, convert it to personal gains instead of allowing it to trickle down to the average person on the street. So it's a welcome development. If the speech also fell short in some areas, some area apart from this one that I just shared now, it fell short in the sense that when a situation is tense like this, I personally feel like the president could have overlooked some, while trying to address people that are trying to become violent and trying to turn this genuine agitation due to hunger and hardships and so on to something else. The president, knowing full well that his political enemies or people in the other camp will try to capitalize on that. He did that during his own time as well. When he saw that there was protest against hike in fuel prices, he capitalized on it. That's what politicians do. But in order to be able to douse the tension and in order for you not to just focus your energy on unnecessary things, there's no need saying that, in my opinion, that this violent protest, the protests in most of the states were peaceful.
Yes.
It's only a few states that actually went ahead. Some people went out of control, and some people may have agenda in terms of what they wanted to achieve with trying to stir up people for violence. And like the president nailed it on that point that, for example, the ICT center they are building to equip people in order for them to become capable and competent and then have gainful skills that will give them a job in the 21st century and be at par with their peers globally. Why destroy it? What has that one to do with the lack? You are saying you lack something already, and then you are going out to go and attack and destroy what government has put in place. That has no place in a sane society, and it should be condemnable by all standards. Yeah. We should not be saying, in agitating for what we want, we will destroy the little that we have. Yeah. So the president was on point. What he should not be characterizing this, what I think he should not be characterizing this agitation as is orchestrated by enemies. The true enemy of the government is hunger and starvation, because no matter what anybody wants to do against this government or is scheming against this government, if the president is able to take care of hunger in the land, if the president is able to make sure that all the things, the programs is rolling out, start having positive effect on the people are going to turn around and turn to this government and start supporting the government, that nobody can shake the government. It is about quality, delivery of quality service and making a plan for people that are excluded all these years. And like we have said, like the president acknowledged that the problem did not start with his government today. I know it's difficult for him to rope himself out of the previous government. Like we say, it's an APC government. And if anything, Nigerians generally see that government as him bringing that government to power. That's the big elephant in the room we need to address. But having said that as well, I think he's walking a fine line to say, okay, yes, the situation is as it the way it is, but we are dealing with it. I personally feel 1 year, to be very fair to the government, 1 year is not enough to undo all the problems that we have today. And so we need to have a realistic expectation of the government, but we must hold them accountable. Because if we allow the things the way they were before to continue like that, then there's no hope. The country will continue on this slippery slope and go into oblivion. So it is probably the best time to have somebody like him who says he's capable of doing the job to be at the helms. But I think we should generally try as much as possible to, because we want the country to succeed. It doesn't matter who the president is, really. Everybody who really is a true Nigerian will want this country to succeed. And as a result, we must make every effort to play our own part, not to drag the government down, but to do what we can to make sure that the program succeeds. Because if this government succeeds, all of us succeeds. Yeah. If this government fails, all of us fail. And this government is not going to be there forever. It will get to a point where either the tenure has expired, it cannot run again, or the people decide and say, we don't want anything to do with this government, let's try something else. So for now that we have a president, we must support these programs, and where we think that the government is getting it wrong, we must call them out and say, no, there's a better way. And then it's not just criticizing, put out the better ways and do something about it yourself at your own level to ensure that we get the Nigeria of our own dreams.